Hi, boys and girls. This is Grandma Sheila, and I have two little stories for you tonight. The first one's called Jesus Held Her. Well, 4-year-old little Mary had been across the street from her home playing with her little friends all afternoon. Well, her mother decided it was time for Mary to come home. So she went out on the porch, and she could see Mary playing across the street, and she called out, "Mary, it's time to come home. Come home right now." Well, Mary was an obedient little girl, so she ran out the gate and ran into the street. When she got to the middle of the street, her mother looked up and saw a car coming this way and another car coming this way. So there was one going each way. Mother wanted to holler to Mary, "Stand still, stand still." But she was afraid. She was afraid if she called out to her that Mary would maybe not be able to hear her and run, and one of those cars might hurt her. So Mother did something. She held her breath. She couldn't hardly bear to watch. But first one car and then the other car sped by, and little Mary was still standing in the middle of the street. When both cars had gone, she skipped happily to her mother. And her mother grabbed her and held her so tightly. She said, "Oh, Mary, what kept you in the middle of the street?" And little Mary said, "Oh, Mommy, I prayed to Jesus and asked him to hold me, and he did." What a precious story. Hold on, and we'll have the rest of it. Our second story is called "The Little Girl Spoke Again." A book salesman came to the door, and he began to knock. He waited, and a young mother and a young girl came to the door. The mother invited the book salesman inside, and he showed her all the books that he had. And then he turned to the little girl. She was looking intently. She was about 10. And he said, "Would you like to look at some of the children's books I have?" But all was silent in the room. She didn't say anything. And the mother said, "Let me explain. She can't talk. Some time ago, a rock was thrown, and it hit her directly in her throat. Well, we took her to the doctor, and it was a severe injury to the voice box. And the doctor said, it's probably a permanent injury, and our little girl will never talk again." The young man selling the books, he looked at the mother and he said, "Oh, ma'am, have you ever prayed and asked Jesus to change her throat, to make it so she can talk again?" And the lady said, "I never thought to ask Jesus about it." And he immediately slipped to his knees there on the floor in their living room. And he prayed so earnestly to God, saying, "Oh, please, Father, she's only 10. Please heal her voice box so she can talk again." Well, the man, he gathered up all of his books, and he wrote out an order for the book that the mother wanted. And he said, "I'll be back in 1 month to bring back to deliver your book." And he left. The mother thought about that prayer, but she didn't have long to think. Because in a short period of time, after the book salesman left, she began to talk again. The mother couldn't wait to see that young man. And sure enough, true to his word, a month later, he came knocking on the door. The mother opened the door with excitement, and she said, "Within just a few minutes after you prayed, after you left, my daughter could talk again. What a God you have. I want to know all about him." And so the mother did learn all about Jesus. And her little girl learned all about the God that made it so she could talk again. I hope you've enjoyed these 2 old stories tonight. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye now.